We're preparing. Yeah, because I wanted to do mine, and then I was like, well, it's okay. We just did hers. But
Now we have time. And
now we
then I
have
have to like,
time. Yeah, because I wanted to do mine, and then I was like, well, okay, we are live. But
yay!
we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Captivate the Crowd YouTube channel. I'm here with the fabulous and amazing Julie Marty-Pearson, who is a fellow podcaster. Julie, and it
Yay!
is it is International Podcasting Day.
Yep.
And you may be in one of three places. You may be like, I can't, everyone has a podcast. And that's okay. Absolutely. Go listen to music. Go, you do you, right? You may be like, oh, I've always wanted to start a podcast. So we're gonna talk about that. You may be like, well, I'm podcasting, but it's kind of some work and blah, blah, blah. So we're gonna address that and we're gonna make it fun and fast because that's how
Yes.
we roll, right, baby? Okay.
Yes. We are the
Yeah.
fun crew.
So I know I love podcasting because it's an intimate conversation. I'm a lifelong learner. I am 57 and there are some things that I am required to do in my life that I find tedious and boring. And so how do I make it fun? Because that's all part of my brand. And well, I listen to podcasts. Sometimes I listen to comedy. Sometimes I listen to true crime. Sometimes I listen to business. I love a good story. And I
Yep.
love being able to do things like running errands and cleaning or whatever. I like being able to do that and uplifting myself and learning
Right.
things. What
Yeah.
about you, Julie?
Well, I love podcasting for all those things. I will say, I used to work in higher ed. I taught psychology and statistics, so I love teaching people. So I love doing podcast episodes and like teaching people how to tips and tricks. But I also love storytelling. I love sharing my story. I love listening to people share their story. I think podcasting has really kind of is replacing the daytime talk show. YouTube is where we go for our daytime talk shows now. I love listening to Amy Poehler's podcast while I'm
Ah,
working and hearing her, talk to
love
people and
her.
share stories. So, I love podcasting for so many reasons. I love getting my pop culture fix, listening to podcasts about the shows I watch. But I also love learning. I love listening to other podcasts about podcasting. I learned so much from other people who have been doing it longer than me. And I also just love hearing women's stories. I'm starting to listen to more podcasts about us Gen Xers and our stories, and all of us women in our 40s and 50s and in that perimenopausal area. And I share some of my struggles with that, going through a hysterectomy and how that changed me. And so I think podcasting can connect us in so many different ways, but it's like you can connect to a podcast based on your mood today, right?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And I have a joke. I'm a comedian, speaker, author, coach. I'm always like, was I drunk during US history? Like, I know Texas history, but sometimes I'm like, what happened? What?
I feel
So
that way
that's
about geography. Like
oh,
I'll be watching a
was I
show and
drunk
they're
in
going
geography?
to some place and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that was in the Mediterranean." Like I was
Yes.
not paying attention in those classes.
That could be a whole series. Things you missed in class or whatever. Oh, I think there is a things you missed in history. So awesome. So, and I love the community. I've been to Podfest, I've been to Podcast Movement, and there's just a real beautiful community of people who want to help make the world a better place, who
Yep.
want to help people heal in lots of different ways. And when I first met Julie, we met on Zoom, and then we met at Podfest in January in Orlando. And we were
2024.
meeting, you knew people, but there were people who were like dying. And they were like, I just want to share my story and make
Yep.
a difference until the end. And I was like,
Yep.
wow. So that's the kind of caliber of people who I've met.
Yeah.
And then, so that's how, and it's had a huge, huge effect on me as a podcast host and as a podcast guest. So
You
if
know,
you're,
I
go ahead.
often say, and I've said on my own podcast, but or in interviews, that I wouldn't still be here podcasting, maybe even in business, if it wasn't for the podcast community. Like the people I have met along the way who have been my mentors, my coaches, my guests, some people interviewing. Those are like people like you, Elaine, is what keeps me going. It's like those connections. And I think that's why so many of us are so passionate about podcasting, because we've built this community of connections that we would have never found if we hadn't started podcasting or been in this world, right? And so we just want more people to find that and tap into it and share their story in a way where it's safe and supportive, and you really feel like you're a part of this larger community, that it's not about competition or whose podcast is better, because we're all doing it differently. But, there's so many people I think in our community that we could reach out to any day, anytime and be like, help, this isn't working, or I don't know what to do. And they're going to like show up for us.
I'll be like, Julie, I'm stuck in the script again. So yes, it is an awesome community. And I work with speakers, and one of the things I require of my clients is I want you to go be a guest on podcasts. And even if they're like, "Ugh," I'm like, go be a guest on a small little podcast because it is a wonderful way to practice. And one of my clients, Jackie, she did not want to do it. And I said, you have to do it. And she was transformed in a week. And it was from the stage time and learning to speak under pressure and learning to listen and be poised. And it wasn't about being perfect, but it was about making progress. And so if you are wanting to grow your business with speaking and becoming a better communicator, go be on, go be a guest. Don't worry, you're not going to get on Oprah. But there are a million other podcasts where you could tell a story or give value. And if you have something in your heart to give, who are you not to do that? Like,
Right.
we need you. We need your story and your voice. And I know there's that, I call it my little ego that's like, but everybody knows that. Or that's not so profound. But guess what? Nobody does it like you.
Yeah.
I'm a middle-aged white lady, so there are a lot of people who can't really relate to me. Once they get to know me, they realize like, oh my gosh, there's all this other stuff, but
Right.
nobody does it like you. And so your gift is to go be generous. And I want to say
Mhm.
one other thing, because I know there's a lot of fear of bullies, right? There's so many times we are inspired to share our story or give some value or teach. And then there's that, oh, but what about the bullies? And yes, there are a lot of bullies out there, and the worst bully is usually the one right in here. And what I want to
Yes.
say to that is you still have power and control. I have only had a couple of, I mean, I have weird guys all the time. I just ignore them. But you can remove comments. You can block people. You can't, there's a million ways you can feel safe and in control.
Hmm.
And sometimes I will tell a story that is not for general public. So there's all kinds of ways that you can feel like you're doing it and you can feel safe about it, that you're not going to be eviscerated on social media, because I know that is a concern.
You
Julie, is
know,
that
I think that is so important, especially as women, because, most of us have been told our whole lives, be quiet, look pretty. No one needs to hear your
you're
opinion,
too
and
much? Yeah.
no one cares, that's not necessary. And I think we hear it even more in some parts of the world now too. But, one of the things I try to do with my podcast, with my communities, is create a safe space for people, because
Yeah.
when you're in a larger community at a big podcast convention, you don't want to ask, quote, stupid questions. A lot of times in our head we're like, well, that's so simple and so
Right.
beginner, or that's so silly. But I want to create a space where women can ask whatever question you have, like, well, what do you
Yes.
mean a podcast one sheet? What does that mean? What are you talking about? Or what is Podmatch? Or what is Listen Notes? I have people ask me these questions, and it's like, there's no dumb question, because
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know. And if you've never done
Yeah.
it before, you don't know. And
Yeah.
I think that why so many people love podcasting, being a podcaster, but also listening, is it's a very personal connection. It's a
Yes.
very, you feel like you really get to know the people when you listen to a podcast, when you watch it on YouTube. Like, in my head, Amy Poehler and Heather McMahon, those are podcasts I listen to a lot, are my friends. They don't know me. We may never meet in person. Although I was very lucky. I went to Podcast Movement in 2024, and Amy Poehler spoke there about her podcast and her podcast network. And so that was really inspiring to see how someone who has been popular in TV and movie and has done these big things is still tapping into podcasting too. And she's blown up in that way. Like, she has a huge following of her podcast, and it really is a talk show that she does every, however many days. And so I think that what I want to say to people, if you're unsure, you haven't started, you don't know where to get started, is find your community. Find the place you feel safe, whether it's a community, whether it's a networking group, whether it's, a podcast coach, whatever it may be, and find that person that you feel connected to, you feel like they get you, and you can ask those questions and they can help you in a way that you need it.
I love that. That's so great. And yeah, just nobody does it like you, and you will find your people. And it's okay. Like if you want to start a podcast, if there's a yearning, I would highly recommend that you reach out to Julie Marty-Pearson. She has helped me launch Captivate the Mic, and she has helped many amazing women, and she is incredibly not expensive. I know people that have spent seven
I'm not
thousand
cheap,
dollars
but
launching. Yeah.
I like to
And
say as
she
a
has
woman, I'm not cheap, but
a lot of wisdom. And so, and I know I have to wrap up because I get to go teach, which I love to do so much.
and
So thanks so much for watching.
I have to shout
Julie.
you out first,
Oh,
Elaine. If you're listening and you're not confident showing up on camera, whether it's to do a video podcast or to record for social media or to do your own workshops, whatever it may be, follow Elaine, connect with her, go to one of her classes because she's given me so many tips from her, life as a speaker and a comedian. She was there for me, supporting me this year in January when I spoke at PodFest. And you need your cheerleaders as well. You need those people that are there to support you, but you also want the people that know what the heck they're talking about. And Elaine knows presence on stage, being confident on camera. So if you need
sweet.
any of those things, make sure you're following her, listening to her podcast, and signing up for all the things.
Well, thank you, Julie. Thank you for that lovely shout out. And if you're thinking about launching a podcast, I would definitely reach out to Julie Marty-Pearson. And she has a beautiful community that I'm a member of too. So there's lots of things. And like we just did a pitch fest in honor of International Podcast Day. And there were fabulous, amazing women who've overcome so many things, powerful coaches, speakers, authors. And we were doing the pitch, and I took like 5 pages of notes. There was so much wisdom and
Yes.
generosity and heart and courage. And
Yep.
so, to me, it's about so much. It's about storytelling. We've been telling stories around the campfire since the dawn of time. And I think in this, fast-paced, high-tech, low-touch place, I feel like podcasts are a way to feel connected. And
Yep.
so I hope everybody will reach out to Julie and or me. Thanks so much for watching. And please share this with somebody if they've been talking about wanting to do it and they're scared
Yes.
because the first step can be the hardest sometimes. But I
Yes.
wish everybody a fabulous day. Thank you so much for joining and or watching, and I hope to see you on the screen or stage soon. Okay, bye. Bye
Bye.
for now.
Happy podcast day.